Good morning. Hi, y'all, man. My name is G Word D, and I just want to, put some stuff out here real quick, see where it go. Uh, we have a big crisis in our country with everything that's going on from, you know, uh, police killing, black people, to our right on to our presidential election, or candidates, not being as honest as they should be. Particularly Donald Trump with, groping. I mean, that's come on. Come on, America. We definitely can't. We definitely can't elect someone that his whole 70-year life, 70 plus years of his life, he's felt as if touching women in a demeaning way, putting women down in a demeaning way was a way of life, is the way of life. I can only imagine what his home life as a child must have been like, having a dad with as much wealth and prestige as his dad probably had. You would surmise that this is where he got his way of thinking from. So, with that being said, let's talk about America. The America, I'm 40 years old, man. So the America I grew up in is 10 times different than what I'm seeing in America today. I mean, first of all, you know, we all grew up believing, respect is due when respect is given. So if you grew up believing that and being taught that, then chances are you grew up respecting your classmates, respecting your neighbors, respecting yourself. So I don't really get what's going on here with the racism and the bigotry and stuff like that. So what's really on my mind is, back in the 80s and in the 90s, life wasn't great, but it wasn't all that bad. I mean, the stuff I'm figuring out today, the stuff I'm finding out today is it's wrong for anyone to go through what we have gone through. I mean, it wasn't that long that slavery has been eradicated, and to this day slavery is still being implemented, only behind closed doors in prisons. That's what I mean by closed doors. So it still exists, man. And now you have lynchings. You got lynchings in the streets. I mean, only it's not a rope and a tree. It's a a bullet and a firearm. I mean, it's just, I mean, come on. I mean, it's the same thing. It's just a different era. So we think about this, and you have to say to yourself, as a parent, as a human being, that wrong is wrong and right is right. I mean, we all grow up with that belief. As a child, your parents are trying to tell you, this is right and this is wrong, and then you have to grow up for yourself and find out for yourself what is right and what is wrong. And that's how you know if your parents really loved you and they gave you the nurturing that you needed, because they told you right is right and wrong is wrong. So, with that being said, let me just say that I am concerned for the future if there is a Republican for president, because if you think about since 2000, if you think about the course of our history since 2000, it really hasn't been that great. I mean, if you think about it, for the middle class and the people below the middle class, if you think about it, it hasn't been that great. You have to remember there was a or $1 trillion surplus. You have to remember that. Okay, the Clintons made, or not even the Clintons, Bill Clinton signed into law some things that wasn't great for black people. or minorities in general, but black people specifically. I mean, the things that came about since 2000, the turn of the turn of the century, has been something, of a revelation to black people in a real live sense. I mean, it might have took us 40 years to get back to this point where Martin Luther and Malcolm X and the Dave, Miss Davis, it might have took us this long to get back to this point, but we're here now. And since we're here now, we must, and we have to continue this movement because it's for our children. Now, if we think back to 2K, we think about an election that was stolen. We think about a war. We think about a collapse of an economy in all facets of the economy. We think about a black president. We think about, what has endured since that black president. And we realize now more than ever that even the civil rights movement didn't change that deep feeling inside someone's chest about how inferior they are to black people. It's nothing we did. It's embedded in here and in here. We did nothing. We forgave, we moved on, we rose to the occasion. In all facets of life, black people has risen to the occasion. Okay? Now, why is it that our government hasn't risen to the occasion? Think about this. Okay, if Hillary is elected president, which is a very likely, scenario, do we really believe that the things that's going on in politics right now, Democrats versus the Republicans, that it won't continue? Do we really want to believe that? Because if you think about this, and I mean, you have to think about it, the things that they've been able to get away with, why wouldn't they continue? Why would they now want to give in after getting so much of what they wanted? Why would they want to cave now? It doesn't make sense, because they're losing their party, they're losing their base. If you think about it, they're not, because their real base has always been big donors. So they ain't losing nothing. They ain't losing no money. They ain't losing no money, and money is power. So in their mind's eye, they ain't gonna lose nothing. And that's where we come in, the people. We the voters. We put these people in place to be as powerful as they are, or as they seem to have. Well, actually, they don't have power. They just abusing their privilege. That's what they're doing. They're abusing their privilege, people, because we have already made the difference. We have already taken a stand, and it started in 2004 or 2008. 2009. We took a stand. We said enough is enough. We voted this guy in. A lot of black people believe that our president didn't do enough for us, but under the contrary, you have to understand the situation that he was shoved into, more or less. Fresh to the Senate. Think about this, people. He's fresh to the Senate. Fresh. He don't have an opportunity to learn what it is all about. So being thrusted into a presidency after not even realizing that the very people around you that's thrusting you into this presidency is just as crooked as the very people that are saying no. Because these very people have been there 20, 30, 40 years. So y'all already have been part of the crookedness. Well, you got to give a little to get a little. You're not there to give a little to get a little. You're there to do the people's bidding. There is no give a little to get a little. Give a little to get a lot. There is none of that. In a democracy, it is what is good for the people. I don't even understand when I'm watching C-SPAN and politicians are on C-SPAN talking about my constituents. Republicans are talking about my constituents, and then you look behind the scenes and their constituent is that donor that just put $50,000 in their coffer. That's their constituent. That $50,000. So America, we have all been tricked into believing that voting matters. It only matters when they want it to matter. Because we already know they can steal an election if they want, unless they do what Barack Obama did, which is make it overwhelmingly clear, not even a close cigar, as the saying goes. So the lesson that was learned from Bush was you have to make it unprecedented. And that's exactly what happened. Oh, we've never seen it like this. Let me tell you something, people. We got to wrap our minds around the truth. If we put a politician in office, we want them to do our bidding. I refuse to believe that all these Americans are prejudiced like this. I mean, out of 300 plus million, yeah, you got a few million in there that might be, but I say a few million. You got 300 plus million Americans. I mean, there's only a small percentage when you think about it in numbers like that. There has to be a small percentage of racism.